All right, from that story by Caroline B, I'd like us to cross over to matters health and talk to medical correspondent Dr. Mercy Korir. 50 Kenyan doctors nominated from the 47 counties and the national government are set to travel to Cuba to start a training in general comprehensive medicine at the University of Medicine Sciences at the University of Havana. Now, the 50 doctors were scheduled to attend a pre-induction training at the Kenya School of Government. That started yesterday before they leave the country on Sunday, 23rd September. Now, the doctors' travel and a stay in Cuba is, however, said to be shrouded in secrecy, uncertainty, and unclear terms and conditions, with some reading unfair treatment compared with the Cuban counterparts currently deployed in various hospitals across the country. So right now, I'd like us to talk to our medical correspondent, Dr. Mercy Korir, via way of phone. Dr. Korir, a lot is happening, and of course 50 doctors heading to Cuba. I mean, is it still the exchange program that the government had talked about? Because we brought in 100 specialized Cuban doctors to Kenya. So are there a number of doctors who are going to Cuba right now, an exchange of what the government had earlier mentioned?
Well, Brenda, that is quite correct. Remember, the MOU that the national government, that is the Kenyan government, signed with the Cuban government was in agreement that they would take 50 medical doctors from Kenya to go and study family medicine in Cuba. Now, the admission letter from the University of Medical Sciences in Havana has given them this opportunity to study comprehensive medical science, general comprehensive medicine in Havana for a period of 2.5 to 3 years. Now, the letters that we have seen show that the government, one, will pay the $3,000, that is about 300,000 Kenya shillings, for the language training. Remember that Cuba train in Spanish, and in Kenya we are primarily English speakers, and all the training is in English. So they will undergo a 15-week training in language, which will cost the government $3,000 for each of the 50 doctors. Now, the tuition fee is $10,500, which is about 1 million shillings for each doctor per year for the duration of training in which they will be in Cuba. Now, the other costs are accommodation and meals, and the meals are costing $21.50 per doctor, and this the government is also foot. Now, the doctors who are going for training in Cuba are entitled to $1,440 for as an allowance for the time that they're in Cuba per month. But possibly, and this is an explanation from the government, that since the doctors are the accommodation and meals is being catered for, then the government will only give them 25%, which is about $360 for that, for their allowances. Now, the doctors seem to be unhappy, and they had said that they would boycott their pre-induction at the Kenya School of Government today, because they say that the government is not giving them all the information that they need. They were supposed to have gone to Cuba at the beginning of this month, but it was postponed to this Sunday, which is 23rd, to go and study the comprehensive general medicine in Cuba, and they'll come back as family medicine doctors. So we have the list of the 50 doctors that are scheduled to travel to Cuba as part of the exchange program. Now, the other thing that the doctors are saying that the treatment, for example, that the Cuban counterparts who are in Kenya have received is totally different from what they have received. And an example they have cited, for example, is that they will be staying in hostels while in Cuba, while their counterparts here have been given accommodation, unlike what they will be staying there. And this will be hostels in which they share, because they will be in school. So this, Brenda, as you can imagine, is a developing story, because some of this information and documents, we have just gotten them just now. We have just gotten to confirm just now. So it is a developing story, and we hope that by the end of the day, we will be able to update Kenyans and those who are keenly following the issue of the Cuban story, that is the Cuban doctors who are in Kenya. Now the 50 doctors who are supposed to go to Cuba are keen on knowing. So we'll keep tabs on it, as this is a developing story, Brenda.
Dr. Korir, I don't know whether you've managed to talk to a government official concerning some of the queries that the Kenyan doctors have raised, because, I mean, they're traveling, they are opposing the fact that they'll be staying in hostels, they want their own homes in terms of their payment. Has the government, have you managed to talk to any senior government officials concerning their concerns?
I'm still trying to get hold of them so that they can confirm some of these allegations or some of these issues that the doctors have raised. What we have now from the government side is their documentation, which they have been giving the doctors in order to sign. For example, there are letters of bonding and there are letters of admission to the university. So as at now, that is all we have from the government side. That is the documentation from their side. But we are still trying to get in touch with them so that they can confirm if at all what the doctors are saying is what will be happening to the doctors, and if at all this is unfair treatment, as the doctors are calling it. Brenda.
Okay, lastly, Dr. Mercy, as Korir, as we bring this conversation to an end, what was the selection process like for the 50 doctors who were being selected?
Well, initially,
Mercy Korir.
Okay, Brenda. Initially, when the MOU was signed and when we heard all about the Cuban doctors, the doctors were supposed to apply. It was supposed to be a very competitive process for the counties, each to get one person to go to Cuba. Now, there are those that applied for these positions voluntarily, and some were nominated by the counties and the national government. So it's on both sides, but initially it was supposed to be a competitive process. And remember that the Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists and Dentists Union, that is KMPDU, had opposed or was not really open and were not really embracing this Cuban MOU and the Cuban deal that the government and the counties had, that is the national government and the county governments had with the Cuban government. So it could explain why we did not, or the doctors say they didn't get a flurry or a flood of applications from the doctors, because the union was not really pro doctors going to Cuba, because they cited all these issues that were around this MOU between the government of Kenya and the government of Cuba. Secondly, is what the doctors had also raised was that family medicine training is being offered here in Kenya. The Aga Khan University Hospital, Moi University, offers family medicine. So for the doctors, they were not really accommodating of this MOU that was inviting doctors to go for training or to be sponsored to go and train family medicine in Cuba, because they said that training is being offered here. So instead of taking Kenyans to Cuba, then they had wanted this to be done locally because it is available locally. So as the day goes by, we will get reactions from all these parties, because now it's Friday and these doctors are supposed to travel the day after tomorrow, that is on Sunday, to start their new life for the next 3 years in Cuba. Brenda.
Korir, medical correspondent here on KTN News, is telling us more about the 50 doctors, Kenyan doctors, who are supposed to go to Cuba following the agreement that the Kenyan government had with the Cuban government in exchange of doctors, 100 specialized doctors in Kenya, so 50 will be traveling to Cuba, as we have been informed by our medical correspondent, Dr. Mercy Korir. They will be traveling on Sunday.